Hi everyone, and welcome back to Team Dinner. My name is Jack Maloney, and my guest today is Chef Aaron Chambers. Chef Aaron, thanks for being here.
Awesome. I'm excited to be here.
And we are eating 2 orders of fish and chips from Row 34 in East Cambridge. So, your idea, I followed.
I mean,
and it's a perfect
English classic for where I'm from, and this looks awesome. I'm excited to try it.
Yeah, let's dive in. And while we cut in here, oh, listen to that.
Oh, crispy.
The mics will pick that up. So, today it is middle October as we record this. It is cold. It is rainy. It is getting to be that kind of time of the year. Question for you as a someone who's lived here for a while, and I know you've spent, obviously, your childhood in England. What is your go-to cold, damp, dreary day meal? Do you have something?
Yeah, totally. So I love braised beef.
Mm-hmm.
In England we're renowned for overcooking beef, but I love braised beef. So actually, this moment right now, I have short ribs in the oven at home braising for tonight's tacos. Mm-hmm. So typically on Mondays, I cook at home, and we normally do steak tacos. Well, my youngest, he's home sick from school today, and he actually requested braised beef tacos. So this minute, they're in the oven right now.
So you cook on your night off from the restaurant every week?
Yeah, most Mondays it's me cooking. Sundays we kind of have a chill family day, and we eat out, or we just go grab something locally, or order something in. But Mondays is normally my night to cook at home.
And what is your, I guess, if you're thinking about, you spend so much time in the kitchen on Monday, family night, are you able to, is it just pure fun for you at that point? Is there anything, you just try anything new, or is it just kind of what the kids want?
I kind of let the kids decide what we have. But yeah, no, I love cooking. I'm always in the kitchen. I mean, last night we had peachy pasta for dinner because I decided we're going to cook and we're not going to eat out. Yeah. So it's whatever the kids want or whatever we have in the house, and just try and get creative with it.
I love it. All right, so now we're going to go all the way back if we can.
Okay.
Start with your childhood, growing up.
Okay.
How did the cooking bug bite us in the first place? What was that?
So I come from a family where my mom cooked every night. My dad would grow the vegetables. My dad's like a hobby farm, like he's a beekeeper. That's like a hobby of his. So we always had honey. We always had local vegetables from my dad's garden. And then my mom was vegetarian, so we grew up primarily eating vegetables. We had chickens in the garden, so we always had fresh eggs from the garden. And I think for the being around that and being absorbed in that, kind of like cooking at home every day, just kind of gave me that bug. I wanted to help. I was always trying to help my mom. I was always like bringing vegetables and washing them and giving her to cook. And I was always in and around the kitchen and in and around all of these amazing ingredients. That kind of where it started for me. Mm-hmm.
And then something I'm always interested in is someone with a story similar like that, a familial, love of cooking, of being in the kitchen, and then when do you start to think like, oh, this could be something I do with my life?
I think so. For me, when I was in school, it was clear that I wasn't going to be a lawyer or an accountant or anything. That wasn't going to be my path. So I loved cooking, and that's really what I wanted to do. And I think at age 10, I decided that's what I was going to do, and I kind of set myself off on that mission.
Mm-hmm. That's young.
Yeah, I started with like home economics classes at school.
Yeah.
We would make like scones and bread and cakes and tarts and things. And then it would go home and I would bake with my mom. And then I think my first ever kitchen thing, I was 15. I actually worked at a fish and chip shop.
Yeah. That's
serving fries.
Yeah.
Serving chips and fish and cutting the potatoes. And I think just being around food made me happy.
Mm-hmm. And then when was your first, so you're starting in the fish and chips. Is chippy? Is that a Scottish thing, or is that?
No, we call them chippies too.
Yeah.
The one I worked at was called Pisces, which is hilarious.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's clever. And so then, when did you find your way into out of maybe the deep fryer and into more of a closer to fine dining?
Similar age as well. So in school, I actually left school early. I didn't do my A-levels. We do our GCSEs. And then I got a local college. We do a local catering college. So at 16, I started at a local catering college. And at the same time, I got a job at a hotel working at, like the garde manger and working like the larder station and making salads and doing desserts and stuff. And that's kind of where I kind of got my first kitchen job.
Yeah. And then where did you, so then you went from your hometown in Yorkshire, right, to London?
Not quite. I got as far as Oxford.
Okay.
So I once had a meal at this restaurant called Le Manoir au Quatre Saisons. I went there for a meal and I was amazed by what I ate. And it's okay, I have to work here.
Yeah.
So I wrote them a letter and then they wrote back and they asked me to come and do a stage for like a job interview. So I did a 2-day stage. And again, I was amazed by the level of the food and the organization of the kitchen. And it was such like a machine, but it was like everybody knew their job. Everybody knew what they had to do. And the cooking level was so high. I wanted to do it so bad.
Yeah.
And they offered me a job. And I think 2 months later, I started.
That's great. And how long were you there?
I was there for 2 years.
Yep.
Probably like 2.5 years. I wish I'd stayed longer. I really do. But I was, again, off on another mission, trying to go somewhere else and learn something else.
Yeah. What is the traditional, for someone on that path, right, for you, which is you were taking food very seriously, right?
Yeah.
What is the traditional length of stay at a restaurant? Does it vary?
I think it does vary, but I think if I was to do it again, I would have spent 6 years there and learned everything I could have learned and like absorbed it all in. I mean, we had layers of sous chefs and then Raymond Blanc himself. I mean, there was so much going on, and it wasn't just a kitchen there. They had a garden. They had gardeners who would choose all the vegetables that we would serve in the restaurant. You know what I mean? We had all these relationships with these local farmers, which was incredible. It was such an amazing environment to be in.
And then from there, where did you go next?
From there, I went to Dubai.
Yep.
I went to the Middle East. I was 22 at the time. I kind of took a chance. But the restaurant I went to was in a hotel. There was a 7-star hotel, like self-proclaimed, I believe, at the time. Yeah. I don't think 7 stars exists. But it was a luxury hotel with these amazing restaurants that were world-class restaurants. And again, it was just an opportunity to do something new and to try something new and to learn from different people.
And then what in Dubai? I've not been to Dubai, but my understanding is that those luxury hotels are trying to pick the best of the best from all over the world, right?
Yeah.
Were you able to see and learn things in a place like Dubai that maybe a traditional Western city wouldn't have offered you?
I think Dubai is a melting pot of things like that. I think when I was there, it was so new.
Yeah.
That it just wasn't there yet. It was the beginning of Dubai. There was a few glamorous hotels, and they hadn't started building the Palm Islands yet, it all kind of came later. But at the time, they were bringing the best of the best. They were bringing the best chefs. Yeah. I got my job because the chef of the hotel knew the chef of the restaurant I was coming from.
Right.
You know what I mean? They worked together at Le Gavroche, which is a Michelin star restaurant in England. So I feel like they are already pulling the creme de la creme. Yeah. And now it's even more insane.
Yeah. Have you been back recently at all?
No. Last time I went back, I think, was 2007. I actually went back for a cooking competition.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I took part in a cooking competition in D.C. and our team won, and me, a Canadian guy, and a French guy represented America in Dubai in this competition, which is hilarious.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think a lot has probably even changed since then, right? It's like every.
I wouldn't recognize it. I've looked at pictures and where things were, they're not there, and it's crazy.
Yeah. And then from Dubai to DC?
Yeah, Dubai. Yes. I came from Dubai. I got a job in DC. And it was, at the time, I'm an English guy trying to get a job in America. So I think it was hard. I found it was a J1, so it was like a student.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like a student job at a little restaurant. Yeah. And it was just my entry to America.
And then that was your, obviously, first time working in America. Yeah. What were some of your early thoughts about you're making an effort to come over here to enter the food scene here? Yeah. What was some of your first impressions of America? Fine dining.
I think American food American fine dining is built up of French, Italian, like many layers to the restaurants, and I think they have an amazing food scene here. And I think when I was coming in, I was excited. I thought it was something new. I feel like in England it was a little more restrictive when I was in. It was like one note. Everything was kind of the same, carbon copy, repeat. In America it was kind of a melting pot of different things and different opportunities.
Yeah. And then how long were you in DC for?
DC was about 2.5, 3 years. Worked at a few cool little restaurants. And then I took the leap to work for Danielle.
Yep. And that brought you to New York.
And that brought me to New York, yeah.
Yes. And New York is, so what, I guess that's like, I mean, again, I don't know, besides maybe Paris, right? New York, those are kind of the top of the food pyramid, right?
Yeah. New York's the creme de la creme.
Yeah.
And I think working in New York was awesome. I think it was a unique learning experience to be surrounded by so many amazing restaurants and chefs and talented young individuals. It was amazing.
Yeah. And what was it like working for or with Daniel on that? As someone I think is, again, there's not many more people more accomplished, right? Out there. So that must have been.
Yeah, no, it was. So when I did my job interview at Cafe Boulud with Gavin Kaysen, Danielle wasn't there. It was kind of like you kind of reported to Gavin, and it was all through Gavin, and Gavin offered me the job. But then when I started, Danielle would come and he'd want to know everybody's name. He would shake everybody's hand.
Yeah.
He'd want to know who you were and where you were from and your background. He was very personal, very personal. And he kind of mentored everybody, not just the chef, the sous chefs, the cooks. He would be intrigued by what you're doing and ask you questions and give you pointers and kind of take you under his wing.
Yeah.
Even though he had at the time 5 or 6 restaurants.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and that I think that flies in the face of, I think, a lot of perceptions of people like that, right? And people at that caliber. I think there's a belief, right, that some of those chefs that reach that level are maybe not so personal or maybe really difficult to deal with. And it's nice to hear that people that he cares about the people that are in the kitchens helping make his food.
And he's I think part of that is he's mentoring the next generation of cooks, right? So he doesn't just see you as a line cook working at one of his restaurants or a sous chef. He sees you as his next chef of his new restaurant or his next, the next sous chef of the next restaurant. He's trying to figure out who everybody is and their capability and where you could mentor through the system and be somebody someday.
So then you're in New York City now. You mentioned that you're surrounded by the top talent in the world, right? Does that help you get better? Do you feel like you are now like looking over your shoulder, picking up more than maybe you had been at other stops along the way?
Yeah, and I think it gave you the opportunity to eat at these other restaurants. You know, not just be in this hub where you are and learning the environment. You could go to other restaurants and try other things. And working for Danielle, he had many other restaurants, so you would spend time in his other kitchens and see their systems and see how they do things and learn maybe a different way in all of the different restaurants.
And then from working with someone like Daniel, are you seeing how he's both working as a chef and as like a restaurateur or an operator? Like, are you picking up that stuff along the way at that point?
Yeah, I think part of I love being in the kitchen and I love cooking and I love kind of that side of what it is. And I think from Danielle, you do learn aspects of that. He's the full package. He's got the gift of the gab. He's talking to the guests. He's talking to the purveyors. He's like, he's sourcing the best products. He's sourcing the best cook. I mean, he has so much help in what he does, and he doesn't take that. He's very humble about it. He still wants to be a part of it. He still wants to be a part of the decisions that are made. He still wants to be in the kitchen. I mean, when I've worked for Danielle, we'd be cooking scallops, and he would come in and he would show my cooks how to cook the scallops. And the cook would take a step back, and Danielle would explain how to do it, and he'd explain what he's doing, and he'd explain how he's doing it and why he's doing it, and that's something that's awesome to see.
Yeah, I don't think that's that common, right?
No.
At that level.
No.
Certainly, I don't know, but I would imagine that is more rare than it is not.
Yeah, it's inspiring, and it's kind of how I want to lead and how I want to push my guys to be.
Yeah, and so you're picking up these little, tidbits of information along the way. Yeah. Very cool. And so you were in New York for how long?
New York, I think, was 7 years.
Yeah, good.
I worked at Cafe Boulud, and then Gavin promoted me. So I was kind of mentored under Gavin at Cafe Boulud and learned from Gavin Kaysen, and he taught me different things. He taught me management style. He taught me how to like inspire people, and he taught me how to like mentor people. He taught me a lot of awesome stuff and kind of some new techniques that I hadn't been using before. Gavin's background was a little bit different. He came from a different background, but he had some amazing skill and techniques, and it was awesome to work with him. And he kind of mentored me from a sous chef to exec sous chef at Cafe. And then he was the one that recommended me to Danielle to be the next chef of a new restaurant, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And then how let's talk about that, opening that space as the new head chef.
Yeah, I was kind of frazzled a little bit. Danielle wanted a meeting with me, and it was like a big deal if you had a meeting with Danielle.
Yeah.
So he invited me to Restaurant Danielle and sit in the Skybox, which is his office that overlooks the kitchen. And it was all amazing. And he explained the project, what he was looking to do. And then we kind of talked a little bit about food. And I was half expecting for the corporate chefs or Danielle to like have a menu that I'm going to like reproduce or like refine. And he was so humble about it. He said, no, you're writing the menu.
Yeah.
You're going to come up with the menu. You're going to do everything. And we're going to have weekly meetings, and we're going to go over progress, and we're going to have tastings, and we're going to refine it. But you're going to be helping like create this restaurant, not just run this restaurant, but you're going to be helping create this restaurant together, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah. And so I mentioned to this point in your career, you've helped with a dish right? But you've not had that level of autonomy over.
No, at Cafe Boulud, we would have weekly specials, and we would sit down and we would talk about the dish and talk about the ingredients and talk how we can create something. And then that became from specials. Then that became to the menu with Gavin. We would partake in helping with the menu with his direction. But this was a whole new thing for me.
Yeah. To
be the inspiration, to be the guide of it. It was amazing.
Yeah. So if you think back to that time of having, the creative control or a lot of creative control over the menu, what from that time did you take, and what lessons you learned that you have applied to Settler and Bernadette?
Well, I think how you build a menu and how you build a dish and how you kind of build all of this, it's all on your ingredients, right? We don't just come up with a dish and draw a pretty picture and then try to recreate it. We look at the ingredients that we have, and we try to find the best ingredients and how we can try to make simple dishes out of them and not mask what they are, or just elevate what they are.
Yep. So then that's a great. You got my wheels turning now. So leading with the ingredients, right? Letting the ingredients dictate the dish, right?
Yeah.
What role does seasonality then play in the menu?
Oh, no, huge role.
Yeah.
There's things that you'll go to a restaurant and you're like, why do they have tomatoes on the menu in December?
Yeah.
And I know that's like what people are looking for, but I think we do things differently. We like, well, what is available in December? Like what is fresh out of the ground, if anything's in the ground? Because as soon as the ground freezes, you lose a lot of things, right? They can be grown in greenhouses, but things don't taste the same out of a greenhouse that taste out of the ground. So the whole menu is based on seasonality and what's available and what my farmers are growing, or, what we can procure locally that's still seasonal.
Yeah. So then I'd like to talk about your procurement process if we can.
Okay.
Because I think that's fascinating. So the farmers you work with, how big of a network are you pulling from? How involved are you in that process still to this day?
Oh, weekly.
Yeah.
Daily.
Yeah.
Like today is the start of the week, and I get my farm lists, and I go through the lists and decide what I want to get from everybody. So a lot of it is farm list, and some of it is they're growing things for us. They ask, what would you like? What do you think you're going to need? What would you like to put on the menu? And some of them grow to that. You know what I mean? Some of them grow to that. I think it's a weekly, daily thing. Like having these conversations and knowing what's available, not just going to like a website and choosing, like clicking your cart and having everything delivered. It's very different.
Yeah.
And also quality. So I might be expecting that they're going to have kale, but there may be like a bug might have got into the kale, and now because all of these farms are organic, they're not using pesticides and chemicals.
Yeah.
So what you think might be there might not be there.
Yeah.
So then you pivot on the menu. You either change the entire dish, or you find a replacement that would be suitable.
And are most of your farms in New England, the Northeast?
Yes, actually North Shore.
North Shore.
They're like
that local.
Beverly, Hamilton, Ipswich, Gloucester, Newburyport.
Wow.
Yeah.
So those 4 or 5 towns, that's where you're getting the vast majority of your produce?
The vast majority of the vegetables on the menu both restaurants are coming from there. Yeah.
That's great. And then what about your meat? What is the process for that part of this?
So I'm with meat. I obviously it's all ABF, no antibiotics, and organic where it can be.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, locally that's a little bit harder to do.
Yeah.
But I source out good programs. I unfortunately they come from a little bit further afield.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I haven't found the local fix for like the meats. Seafood, not a problem.
Yeah.
Like all that seafood comes from steps away from the door of the restaurant.
Yeah. I think I've heard similar things, right? Is that, and the thing about, I have a friend who used to work in like grass-fed beef sourcing, basically. And the way he's explained it is that the aging process on beef specifically is like, you can come from pretty far. Like, it's better to have really good stock come from further, right, than lousier stock from closer.
I've tried to buy local, and I think the biggest problem with local meat is inconsistency.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can have, so a lot of these local farmers are pooling their livestock. So you'll have one farmer that does things a little bit different to another farmer. So one farmer's meat is tender and fatty and has like the great consistency. Another farmer, it's very lean and there's just not a lot of flavor to the meat. And that's not their fault.
No, I know. I can imagine, right, that both could be desirable, but it's hard to plan when you're getting different versions of the same thing every time,
and they cook differently.
Yeah, exactly.
And these smaller farms, a lot of the meat is frozen, unfortunately, which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's harder to work with when you're producing so much food and you're trying to serve a lot of guests. You have to plan further out for the process.
Yeah. All right, so then, sorry, I'm on a tangent, but that stuff gets me very interested. So I'd love to jump back to, you leaving New York, you coming up here, and then we start with the creation of Settler first, right? When you were like ready to make the plunge and to jump and to do your own thing, how did you decide what you had experience with a lot of different cuisine, right?
Yeah.
How did you decide what you want? How did you go through the process of deciding what you wanted Settler to be?
Well, I think first of all, we wanted Settler to be like we wanted a cozy neighborhood kind of restaurant that's friendly, welcoming, inviting. We wanted to create like something that we could also we wanted to start out small. We wanted to prove our business model. Right. We wanted to prove that we could cook and we could serve, and then we had a great wine list. And partnering with my wife was probably the best thing I ever did because we spend a lot of time together and we do this together. We're in it together. She runs the front of house and the operations, and I run the back of the house and cook. But I think we just wanted to create like a fun place for people to go. We wanted to create like locally sourced, good food. We don't believe in using commodity. We believe in using the best ingredients. And I think that people feel healthier through eating the right sort of locally sourced ingredients. And I think with my background being French and the last restaurant I opened for Danielle in New York to be Mediterranean, I felt them two made sense. So when we opened Settler, it was French technique and my Mediterranean influences.
Yeah, that's great. And then in terms of the location, right? We were talking a little bit before we were recording about, location in Salem and the North Shore and how have you found the response of the community up there? I think we talk a lot about the fine dining places within Boston, but I think increasingly there are places popping up outside of the city that are really doing like an incredible job. Of course, you at the top of the list. How have you found like the community up there respond? How have you found people coming up from Boston and what has it been like setting up shop in a smaller town?
Yeah, so I think it was hard. I mean, we opened in COVID. We opened February 6, 2020. So we were open for a whole whopping 6 weeks before we were closed down. But that just made us stronger. That made us fight harder. We found ways to survive the pandemic. And I think the reception has been good. I think I think now word of mouth is obviously being our best thing, right? So we have people come in, they have a great experience, they tell a friend, So I think word of mouth is kind of how Settler built its reputation. But just delivering good service, delivering good food with like a positive attitude, I think that's how we're winning, you know? I wouldn't call our restaurants fine dining. I think we're more like I don't fine dining can be a dirty word to me. Yeah. Fine dining can mean something to other people.
To be honest, on the way here, I was like, I don't actually know where good restaurants stop and fine dining starts. I don't even. I'm probably using it wrong, right?
Yeah. So for me, fine dining is like white tablecloth and a waiter with a uniform that looks like a butler, and he's like, you know what I mean? That's fine. That's how I perceive fine dining. We're like. We just want to serve good food and use good ingredients and make people happy and make a connection with people.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
So then the Settler and then the 4 years later, right, we introduced Bernadette.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what, I I'm curious, like when you have success with Settler,
Yeah.
and you think that there's bandwidth to take on another project. How does the mindset change the second time around? What's different when you go from your first to now that second location?
Well, I think the first it was I'm literally there 6 days a week, all hours of the day, doing everything and teaching and mentoring, and then now it's like now I put the trust on somebody else to kind of steer that ship while I take a sideways step to open something else. I mean, the blessing is the restaurants are like 20, 30 feet away from each other, so you can go between the two pretty easily. But also we wanted to create, so we saw Settler was, we're a 30-seat restaurant that grows to 50 seats in the summer of a patio. It's kind of limiting like what kind of volume you can do, and there was definitely the need for expansion. We'd have a wait list longer than we knew what to do with. Right. So we knew there was a want and a demand for it. But we didn't want to just copy it and put it somewhere else. We wanted to do something a little bit different. So we left Settler to be like the Mediterranean spot, and we kind of took my French background and kind of went whole hog into Bernadette.
And have you found the community likes? Do people end up having like leaning one way or the other? Have you found? Do people? I guess it's just curious if you.
Yeah, we have. So we have a lot of regulars at Settler, and they lean both ways. Yeah. They go to Settler for their cozy pasta dishes, and they come for Bernadette to try a little bit something French that I'm doing. I think they like both places, and now rather than my regular splitting once a week between the two restaurants, they'll come twice a week. They'll go once to once and then one to the other. Yeah. So we're actually making good out of what I mean. We don't want to disrupt one. Settler is Settler, and it's awesome, and we love it, and we didn't try to create something better. We just tried to create something different. Yep.
And how are you and your wife dividing your time now with two places? Is that a challenge?
It is a challenge. I think I would love to spend more quality time at both restaurants. I think I get pulled in one direction or the other depending on what's going on. Yeah. I think, training and mentoring my staff, making sure that they feel comfortable, making sure they feel supported, making sure they see enough of me, and they, when it comes down to menu planning, obviously it's whole hog there, and we're making sure that we're doing things in the same vision. We don't want to lean too far one way or the other, but, I immerse myself as much as I can in both of the restaurants. Yeah. To the point where I'm cooking on the line a few days a week in either one, depending on the situation.
Yeah. So now this might be a hard question, but you have two places that are, one's French Mediterranean, one's French. I'm sure that the people that are going to both are noticing similarities come out between the two of them, right?
There are some similarities. So we make house-made sourdough bread. Yeah. We make it every day. We're serving the same bread in both restaurants. Yeah. At Settler, we're using olive oil with the bread as our bread service with some za'atar and some pomegranate molasses. But then at Bernadette, we have a cultured butter with French sea salt. Yeah. So we have the same, but we kind of do different things with them. If you
want. Yeah. And I guess what do you want if someone's going to either restaurant? What do you want them to take away about an Aaron Chambers restaurant?
Well, I think it's the quality of the experience, the quality of the food. I think when you come into the restaurant, you should be welcomed. You should feel that you're in a familiar environment, either restaurant you're at, because we try to make sure we know who we're serving. Yeah. Know your guests, know your regulars. Make special connections with the people. If it's a birthday or an anniversary, making sure that we're highlighting that and being kind of empathetic of who's coming and why they're coming, and understand who our guests are. I think the experience is not just the food, but it's going to be the service, the knowledge of the wine, or how we can direct our guests around the menu to accommodate their allergies if there is an allergy, or how we can make sure they're having a positive experience and not getting something that they might not like. If somebody is an aversion to something, then obviously we don't want them to have that, but they may dislike something. So how can we leave that off the dish, or how we can make the dish appropriate for them, or direct them to a dish that is appropriate to them. Yeah. I think we want people to be happy. Yeah. Coming out to dinner, unfortunately, is not as affordable as it used to be. Yeah. So we want people to feel like they're getting their experience. It's not just stop in and eat. It's have an experience at one of our restaurants.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's a great answer. And then I want to. So I have a couple of friends who are North Shore people, and they have all. I know for a fact that they love your restaurant. So
Okay.
I texted
That's
them, texted 3 different people if they had any thoughts or
Okay.
questions.
Okay.
All 3 of them said, "Please ask about the sourdough."
Oh, there we go.
That's it. Which is 3 people that don't know each other.
Oh, wow.
And so, my question to you is.
Yeah.
You are at least amongst people I know very well known for the sourdough.
Yeah. We love our bread.
How did you bread? That is a process that you perfected over the years. Like what went into landing on this version?
So my story with bread is that my mom was making bread when she went into labor. So bread's like it's in my veins. Yeah. It's like what we do. Yeah. The sourdough. So when I worked for Danielle, at each restaurant had different breads, but their sourdough was amazing. So when I worked for Danielle, I got some sourdough starter. I got it from the head baker, Mark, and I've just kept it. I've kept it alive. I feed it. Obviously, sourdough terroir changes if you move it. It's not in the same place as, because sourdough is a wild yeast. But I think for us, the opening of Settler, there was some like testing and trying to tweak it and find out where it is. And sourdough recipes can be very different. Ours, I put a lot of sourdough in the recipe because I want it to be sour. I like that flavor. I like that contrast. When we opened Settler, we were cooking it in Dutch ovens. It would be 45 minutes per Dutch oven per bread. So when we opened Bernadette, it's like, okay, how can we do this a little bit more efficiently? So when we opened Bernadette, we put in a deck oven. But then it was learning how to use the deck oven to recreate the same sourdough bread that we made in a Dutch oven.
Right.
So I think now we're there right now, and we have the same quality, the same consistency every day with the bread.
Yeah. I have a question that I have pretended to know for a long time, and I've got to put the stop to it right here, which is the sourdough starter. So I know that can exist for years and years and years and years and years. How do you add to it? How much do you take away? Can you just give me like the layman's version of that?
We don't. So you can feed it and throw some away, but we like to put it into our schedule where we feed it, and then what we take off from it, the discard, is what we're making our bread out of.
Right.
So we feed it every day.
Yep.
Except for Sundays, because there's nobody in the restaurant on Sundays. I've kept a good plan of we work every day but Sunday and Monday pretty much. But now I have somebody in on Mondays so I don't have to make bread on Mondays anymore. So we feed it every day, and then we just take the discard and use it to bake. How much we feed it depends on how much bread we need to make.
Yeah.
So if we're making our regular 8 to 10 loaves, we feed it like 1,000 grams of flour and 1,000 grams of water. And then depending if we want it more rye or more whole wheat, depends on if we put just whole bread flour or if we put a percentage of rye or whole wheat in to feed it as well.
That's interesting.
Because if you put a little bit of rye in, rye's a little bit sweeter, so it kind of helps it get a little bit more bubbly faster. So it depends how she is.
Yeah.
We actually named the starter after my grandma. So our sourdough starter is called Cynthia.
That's lovely. I like that. So it really is that recipe, that bread is your grandmother, your mom, obviously through you. It's
and then getting the sourdough starter from Danielle. So when I got it, I think it was 40 years old, and now we're like 54 years old. So we just keep feeding it every day and taking care of it. That
is so interesting. Well, I'm glad I didn't nod and smile again. I needed to know that.
I would have brought a loaf of bread if I'd have known.
No, this is I'm just the knowledge is all I need. So I appreciate it. Cool. Well, if you're cool with it, I'd love to just ask a couple of questions. Some of this stuff we've already touched on, and then some of this stuff is and I'll give you a second here too.
Yeah.
I've been rude and I've been making you talk the whole time and not eat anything. So we talked a little bit about for the North Shore versus Boston and the fine dining versus not fine dining and all that, but like. How would you, having been here now for a little over 10 years, how would you describe the elevated food scene in New England, compared to other places that you spend time, certainly New York, D.C., what do you think is being done well and where do you think there might be room for improvement generally?
I think there's this uproar, I suppose, if you speak of more small family-run restaurants. You know what I mean, with chefs that have made it in the city and they've made it at these big gigs and they're just trying to open their own small restaurant. And I think there's a lot of good home run restaurants in Boston, and I think there's a lot of good commercially run restaurants that are in these amazing hotels. Like when I opened Boulud in the Mandarin Hotel, it's so luxury. You have everything at your fingertips. But I think the diner is going to determine what sort of restaurants are here. Right. Your guest, the person that comes to your restaurant, is going to determine how many restaurants we have and of what they are. You know. Yeah. If you have too many fine dining restaurants and you have no guests, you have no fine dining restaurants. You know? Yeah. You know, I think so. For me, I again, it goes back to good food, good ingredients, good experience. You know, it doesn't need to be fine dining.
I like that. So then we've talked a little bit about, you know, the French inspiration, the wine. You mentioned having, you know, that was one of the most important parts of starting Settler, right? Was having good wines. As someone who is fairly unsophisticated when it comes to wine, and someone who's trying to be better, and I think you have such a history with the French, and I know French and wine are like it's two halves of a whole, right? With when it comes to the dining experience. Do you have any high level advice for someone like me who's trying to be better about pairing wine with his food?
Okay, well, if you're in a good restaurant, lean into your waiter. And if it's not the waiter, it's the som or it's the junior manager who can kind of guide you. Yeah. I think a lighter style red wine is going to go with pork, chicken, you know, maybe a pasta dish. But typically the heavier the meat you're eating, the heavier wine you would drink. Yeah. You know, lighter wines, more mineral focused wines are going to be with shellfish and oysters and stuff like that. But I think food pairing with wine, just look at what you're eating or what you want to eat and kind of think about how light or heavy that is, or how acidic or buttery and round that is. You know, you don't want too samey. You know, you want one to kind of counteract the other. So if you're eating a high acid dish, you probably don't want a high acid wine to go with that. Yeah,
I think I'm guilty of same. I think I just am like, this seems like they're the same. I should just get this. And that's probably where I'm failing. All right, so then next question. This is the rapid fire section. So next question is, again, back to, you've been in New England for a while. What do you think broadly is the best type of food that's done here?
I mean, where you have to think about where you are. We're in the seafood capital, right? So I think seafood in New England is amazing. You know, they do a really good job. There's like the oldest oyster house. I didn't have clam chowder before coming to New England. I love clam chowder. You know, my kids love clam chowder. I think New England food is definitely seafood focused. And the lobster. I mean, I love local lobsters. I mean, I keep saying to the kids we're gonna get some lobster pots and try ourselves, but I haven't made it yet. One day. Yeah,
I agree. I think we are. It is an embarrassment of riches sometimes here, especially in the summer, with some of that fish coming in. It's really special. All right, so then keep it moving here. Your last night on Earth. You're gone tomorrow.
Okay.
You're at one final meal.
Okay.
It can be anything you want.
Okay.
What are you eating?
What am I eating? Final meal. Well, there's got to be some sourdough bread.
Yeah, of course.
There's got to be some butter.
Of course.
There's got to be my favorite one. There's got to be a nice lean Pinot Noir to drink with it. I love beef cheeks. I love a braised beef cheek. I really do. Like pomme puree or mashed potato, however fancy you want to make it. I think it's something like that. I think it's going into a coma, a food coma of braised beef cheek and mashed potato.
I love that. I love it. Well, is it beef cheek tonight for dinner, or?
No, so the kids are having short ribs.
Oh, short ribs.
Braised short ribs are working, but we do a beef cheek at the restaurant, and it's pretty special.
That's actually a good question, which is, do you think back to your childhood in England? Is there a dish that you can't get here that you miss?
Well, I grew up vegetarian, so we can pretty much recreate. I mean, I suppose at the Chippy, because I was vegetarian, they'd make these potato patties, and it was pretty much like a potato herb patty that was then battered and fried, and I used to have that in a sandwich. I kind of crave that sometimes. Yeah. Or like my mom's vegetarian lasagna, which nobody can recreate. Because you know. Yeah. No, I mean, English chocolate and candies and stuff is something that I crave sometimes, but there's enough British shops that you can find some of that and you can order it, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's great. All right, so next question would be, you have friends and family visiting. You're not working at the restaurant that night, and you have a free reign. You're coming into Boston. What are you doing? Where are you eating?
So I've had a lot of great positive experiences in Boston. I think I love eating at Woodhill's Pier 4.
Yeah.
You know, Charlie does a great job. He's also a Danielle guy, so we have history. I also love going to Copa and Toro. You know, Jamie and Ken do a great job, and I think they have the amazing hospitality. And eating at their restaurants, it's not about having one or two dishes. It's about filling the table with all the amazing appetizers and kind of sharing some good memories with family and friends.
Yeah, I agree. I think with friends and family, it should be the ambiance and the vibe is first and foremost, right?
Yeah.
And the food is just to you don't want to go into a stuffy place where you can't talk.
Can't talk to you, or the music's too loud.
Yeah,
you can't listen to each other. Yeah, I think comfortable dining, you know, and lots of flavors.
Yeah, and then so we talked about like the food generally here, the seafood done well. In terms of non-meat ingredients, these produces the produce that you're sourcing from these local farms, is there any like produce that is done that is you think is special here that maybe we overlook, or is it similar to what you would get in other American?
I hear what you're saying. I think a lot of what's done here is just done really, really well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not done on this massive farming scale. It's kind of like hand trimmed and hand planted and hand harvested. And, I just think they do a really good job. I think it's not about the ingredients specifically. I think it's how they care, how they care and nurture for the product and how they like treat the product, I think is important. I think we have a lot of great greens and salads. I mean, a lot of great greens. I mean, I love kale. I'll put kale in anything. Yeah. Kale and Swiss chard is two of the things I love the most out of the farms that come up here. I also love a turnip called Macumber. I almost named our restaurant Macumber. That's local to this area. So I think just how they take care of their product is important. And you can taste it in the sweetness of the carrots. Yeah. Yeah. And why they leave the turnips in till at least the first frost, so they get a little sweeter. Yeah. It's stuff like that.
The details.
Yeah.
And then, we talked a little bit about your mentors as you were coming up, right? With Gavin and Daniel and some of these people that helped shape you. What is that a thing that you pride yourself on passing on? Is that something that you try and take the people inside of Settler and Bernadette and help kind of let them find their path in this business?
Yeah, I think a lot of this business is about mentoring and teaching, and not everybody wants to learn the same thing or be taught the same way. So you have to figure out who you're working with. But like teaching people what I know makes me feel good. Yeah. Teaching people how to do things how I do things makes me feel good. I think I've learned a lot from my mentors and how to mentor people and how to train people, and now I'm kind of passing it on to the next generation. I have one cook who every day just wants to learn something new. Yeah. And I'm teaching him as much as I can teach him, but I'm trying to make him humble, being that perfect what you're doing, not just learning something new every day. It's about how you take that pasta dough I showed you and made it perfect 10 times in a row, and how you get the touch and the feel of the dough to feel like if it's the right hydration or something. So I feel like it's getting people sometimes to slow down and just learn and live in what they're learning, and not try and learn something new every day. Yeah,
I think it's like a learning and just to check the box and move on to the next thing.
I know how to do duck confit. Okay, check. Chef, what are you teaching me next? Can I learn pate? No. Have you mastered the thing I've taught you? Yeah. When you know what I mean? And not mastered to the point where it's like perfect every time, but it should be, within a range of 80 to 100% of being great every time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right. And I think, listen, that's probably natural for everyone, right? To want to...
young and eager, and they're just wanting knowledge. More.
Yeah, I get that. All right, so, I mean, and then, in kind of closing here, which is, what are, you have these two restaurants. Is there anything you're looking forward to? Anything exciting on the horizon? Is there more we can expect? Anything that you're able to share What is 20? We're at the end of 2025. What does 2026 and beyond hold for you and your wife and the restaurants?
Yeah, I think we're almost a year into Bernadette, and we've kind of learned a lot about what we need to. There is things we need to change. You do learn as a business owner that you don't, everything you want to do maybe is receptive. You know what I mean? So I think we're learning about what our guests want and how our staff want to work with us and how we want to make things better that way. I think looking into the future, I don't think we're ready for another restaurant. I think we started something cool. We started doing a provisions.
Yep.
So we do a provisions twice a month. And we're using locally sourced ingredients and seasonal things and making some cool things, something that we do at the restaurants and some things that we don't. I think looking to expand that into next year and to see how we can not just feed our guests once a week or once every 2 weeks, but give them provisions to go home with, a loaf of sourdough bread or a spice blend or some house-made pasta or a sauce or a soup or something. So I think we're looking to expand into more of that. But again, it's very limiting when you only have so many pairs of hands to do so much, so.
That's right. Only so many hours in the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. Well, Chef Aaron, thank you 1,000 times for coming in. Thank you for making the trip down here, for talking with me. I will shut up now and we can finish our
our fish and chips.
Our fish and chips. But yeah, thank you. Please come back anytime. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Really appreciate this. Thank you.